Wendy's is offering fresh prizes all season long with Wendy's Daily Face-Off Survivor Fantasy. The game lives weekly on dailyfaceoff.com with weekly prizes and a season-long prize of $5,000 up for grabs. It's simple. You sign up, play, and you get free stuff on the Wendy's app. Pick a prop that will happen in the game, and the longer you survive with correct answers, the more you can win from Wendy's. So, while you obsess over your dream team, reward that dedication with Wendy's new obsession, the very real barbecue bacon cheeseburger, freshly added to the Wendy's lineup. Enjoy the applewood smoked bacon and crispy onions as cheese melts over the fresh, never frozen Canadian beef. Sign up today for Wendy's Daily Face-Off Survivor. All right, we'll bring him in. The Stanch Daddy himself, Wyatt Arndt. Wow, look at that back. And he's got his three.
I'm at a club. Surrey Eagles Club. We're celebrating.
The Eagles stuff off for this show.
13-1, boys. 13-1.
I haven't even looked at the BCHL standings. That's ridiculous. Good for them. That's great. It's good for them.
Go ahead. Sorry, I was just saying they're matching the Penticton Vs. We all know the Vs are a powerhouse. So I'm excited about the Eagles. Your Coquitlam Express are 7-6, though. That's okay, right? That's
above 500, baby. That's what we look for out in Coquitlam.
Who's that in the background?
Just above expectations, Coquitlam, baby.
Yes.
Why? Who's that in the background of your?
That's John Ham. John Ham's hanging out in the club. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Harm dating himself here on Canucks Conversation.
Okay. We'll get back on the rails. That didn't take very long. Wyatt, your takeaways from last night. You wrote the Stanchies. It was a great piece. Your takeaways from last night.
I'll get that in 2 seconds. I do want to shout Wendy's Spicy Chicken Burger, which is one of my favorite burgers of all time. I'm not even getting paid for that. I just want to say, sorry, sandwich. That's fantastic. I'm so happy Wendy's is sponsoring this right now. The game itself was it was fantastic. Honestly, I was talking to Quads before I got on. Like, if you had given me a script and said, hey, write some fan fiction of what you think the fan base would want, everything that's happening right now would pretty much be it, right? Like, you've got Pettersson going off, Quinn Hughes taking the next step, you've got JT Miller playing defensive hockey again, you've got Demko playing fantastic, you've got the backup goalies, as you guys were just talking about, playing, giving them a chance to win. You have Edmonton on the other end of things looking like Vancouver last season. And the thing about, bad goaltending and like loose defense, what that does is you start seeing people say things like, oh, they don't have the maturity to win. They start talking about your mental game. They don't know what it takes. They're going to they're a bunch of losers. And you're seeing that in Edmonton right now where everyone wants to burn everything to the ground because end of the day, bad defense and bad goaltending, you can't do much with that. And I think last season we kind of saw the worst of it for Vancouver. Like, it really did kind of like Demko. We haven't seen him play that way ever. So as much as, they played badly last season, they're playing just as good this season. So we all know, they're on a heater, they're playing like a wagon. It's only going to go so far, but man, just enjoy it because this team right now, they're playing good hockey. And as I think everyone's kind of seeing, like even last night, what I saw when the Canucks were tied 2-2, the Canucks fan base was like, you know what, fine, let's see what we got here. Like, no one's really mad. No, and everyone kind of knows it's going to go downhill a bit, but everyone's kind of like, all right, well, let's see what we do have in our hands. So it is kind of nice because, like, end of the day, they pile up a bunch of points. Like, statistically, for them to miss the playoffs, take a really bad run. And look, it's Vancouver. We know they can do that. But it's just like, let people enjoy it. Like, even the fact that Quinn Hughes has taken this next level to his game has been one of the most exciting storylines this town has seen. And I said it before, when he has the puck, there is like a bit of an audible buzz that Bure would get. Not at the same level, calm down, everyone. But just when he has the puck and he's making moves, people are like, oh my God, this kid's just like, he's worth the price of admission to watch play hockey right now.
Absolutely. There's so many positive storylines that you could pick with this team right now. For you, who's your guy, Stanch? Who do you really want to shout out that maybe isn't getting enough love, or maybe he is already getting enough love, but who's your guy right now that you just want to shout out as being such an important part or such a fun part of this team right now?
I'm going to go off the beaten path. And it's not necessarily that he's an integral cog of this team, but he's been a guy that's been under fire for a while. And I've played my part in that. I apologize, Chaos Draft. But Tyler Myers right now has simplified his game. And I, for years, have been like, why doesn't this guy use his reach properly? I don't understand. Can Sammy Salo not teach this guy to use his stick properly? He gets his gap controls off. He would make these like hardcore reads. He would just go for the puck. He has simplified his game now. And whether it's Adam Foote, Gonchar, or Tocchet, whatever it may be, he is now playing just very simple hockey and playing effective hockey. And again, it's one of those kind of Louis Eriksson backhand. I think, okay, he's being paid a lot of money. You don't want just that. But for a guy that has gone through a lot and is, carry that burden of the cap on. I know, poor rich guy, but he has, bared the brunt of a city kind of attacking him for a long time. His game right now has been, wonderful to watch. And apart, even like go like all wrong, Ian Cole, Carson Soucy, I think I heard Grady mentioning it, how like there's no more of those backdoor play, or maybe it was Harmon. There's no more backdoor tap-ins right now. The goaltenders are having a much easier way of things, and that was what for like 2-3 years. It felt like the Canucks were giving up the most high danger chances of anyone, and right now everything's kind of been simplified, and it's just the defensive structure of this team right now is just fun to watch. Honestly, like they're limiting chances when there are scrambles. They're getting in the way of shots. They're doing all the little things as we like to make fun of, but they're doing them. And so for me, it's just the overall team defensive structure has just been just glorious. Because you look at Edmonton, that's what Vancouver used to be, right? Just giving up these chances. Look what they did to Edmonton. Like that game right there last season would have been Edmonton doing it to Vancouver, and now it's the other way around.
Wyatt, really good points. Our pal, state-affiliated media, Chris Faber, tweeted out over these 5 wins, the goal share for a lot of the Canucks. Tyler Myers, 8-0. Been on the ice for 0 goals against, been on the ice for 8 goals for, and Rick Tocchet has been giving him a lot of love, and you've really liked what you've heard from Rick Tocchet this season.
Rick Tocchet, like, I know there's a lot of stats fans out there, and I don't want to say like intangibles, but there is an aura about Rick that is just really easy to kind of follow along with. Like we had Travis Green was like your angry stepdad, Bruce Boudreau was like your drunk uncle, but like Rick Tocchet's like your dad that you want to make proud. Like he's not mad at you, he's just disappointed. And like there's something about just like you just kind of want to like do things. Even as a writer, I'm like, oh, I hope Rick's proud of this article. Like you get caught up in trying to prove to Rick that like we're all pulling our weight around here. And I think for Rick, like even something like, yeah, he benched Tyler Myers, cut his ice time down a bit, but he responded. When Tocchet does something, it feels overall just very fair. Like it doesn't matter who you are, if you're not playing well, he's going to talk to you, but give you a chance to redeem yourself. Like no better scenario than JT Miller. That end of that period was terrible. That was 2019 JT Miller. That was yelling at Colin Delia at JT Miller. But what does he do? He responds in the third period. He comes out hard. And I think for someone like Rick Tocchet, he's given this entire team structure. And JT Miller to me really is like a Ryan Kessler type guy, where like when he has structure and he's in a winning environment, he's can go balls to the wall. But when things are going poorly and you don't have that structure around him, I think he can kind of become an impediment to the team, and that's where his personality sometimes becomes too big. So Rick Tocchet to me is just a guy that right now that has everyone firing all cylinders. I know things are going to go up and down. We're going to have to see some tougher times for him, but he really does kind of have that Pat Quinn aura right now, where people are like just respect the hell out of him. Like fans right now are like, I know winning makes everything easier, but even without that, like he came into one of the toughest situations you could think of. Bruce Boudreau, beloved coach, gets kicked out. Everyone's yelling, everyone's screaming, everyone's mad. It's a losing season. Tocchet comes in, and that same kind of calmness he brought with him has continued this entire time. And I just have to give full credit to Rick for how he's handled himself in this city.
Rick's been fantastic, Wyatt, but I think it actually goes even farther than that too, with the whole coaching staff as a whole there. Look at Sergei Gonchar, Adam Foote, Daniel and Henrik Sedin. They had a practice the other day. J-Pat had this stat where he calculated over 6,000 games of NHL experience on the ice at once. You can talk about pretty much any game scenario, any problems off the ice. Those guys would have seen it all. You have Ian Clark out there working with the goalies. Like, this is an ultimate dream scenario. Imagine the lineup. If you put all the Canucks coaches and executives they had, you could have Tocchet with the Sedins, Gonchar, Foote, your top D pairing. Like it's truly incredible the amount of experience they have on this coaching staff and through the whole organization now.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to Jason King, but they haven't had that level of flair in the past. But it's true. Like you think about, like for me, sometimes players kind of get gifted spots in management. I'm like, are they really like just because you play the game doesn't mean you can necessarily manage a team? And we've seen that kind of play out, but they know how to play the game. And if you get guys that have played the game and have even an ounce of the ability to kind of translate that to other people, like I feel like Connor McDavid wouldn't be the best. He'd just be like, just go out and score, bro. Like he wouldn't, like Wayne Gretzky, I don't know, just put it in the puck in the net. But certain players have the ability to translate that to their team. And could you imagine, like even like Tyler Myers is spending like a couple months with Adam Foote just about body positioning and stick work. And Quinn Hughes, Sergei Gonchar, I'm sure could be like, hey man, bro, spin around with time. Like you could learn from him. Like add that skill along with that toolage from these Hall of Fame players. And I think we're definitely seeing results. It's a great point from Grady.
Why, you're a man of the people. Do you get the sense that fans, and what I mean by maybe not even fans, but people in the city are getting behind this team? Because look, the diehards, Canucks Twitter folk, they're always going to be behind this team, win or lose. They've got that passion, but I'm talking more like the casual people who are like, yeah, I'm back on the Canucks bandwagon again, that sort of thing. Because, for example, like for me, the 2019-20 year when they went on to go to the bubble playoffs, like that to me captured that casual audience, the people in the city. But for example, the Boudreaux bump during the 2021-22 season, it didn't feel like it really got that buzz going in the city. As a man of the people, what are you seeing?
It honestly, and I mentioned this in my stanch as well. It kind of reminds me a lot of the 2000 kind of era of the Canucks, because 1994 comes along, they lose in Game 7, and then they try and see if they can push for another cup run. They end up taking Messier in, and it's a really dark era of Canucks history. And 2011, kind of the same thing. They had that run. They had the next, 2012, that last little run, and it kind of fell into the Benning era, and it was very dark history. And it was only around 2000 when, like, kind of the West Coast Express era started coming together, and they got swept by Colorado that year in 4 games, but they got a standing ovation at the end of that series. And I feel that's kind of what's coming together, because people have been, miserable and sad, and people have been infighting for so many years here that you look at it now, and like, I have never seen the fan base this united in a long time and making fun of Edmonton. Like, I do one tweet alone about Edmonton and it's getting like 500 likes. People are like, yeah, screw Edmonton. Like, the fan base, it is one of those things where if you come to Vancouver and you attack them, like, they will combine together to be like, no, only we get to do that. So having Edmonton lose and other teams struggle and the Canucks playing so well, again, even with all the PDO talk and all the aggression we know that's probably coming, it's just, people have been dying for this kind of a fun run for a while. And just like, seeing elite hockey at this level is a different beast than kind of even that bubble run. Like, bubble run, there was like, they had some solid wins and Demko played amazing, but we're seeing the level of performances that we haven't seen since around the 2011 era of players playing at like top 10 in the league right now.
I think it's the car flags. When you see the car flags come out,
that's when you know.
That's when you know. Scott Road. Yeah, Scott Road. Yeah, that's when you know.
Yep.
Wyatt, thank you so much for doing this, my friend. Pleasure as always.
Thanks for having me on, boys.
Wyatt Arndt, brought to you by Wendy's. Canucks Conversation with Harmon and Quads every weekday at 2 p.m. Be sure to check it out on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. And if you missed it, go check it out on your favorite podcast catcher app.